My girlfriend called me just a temporary sugar daddy to her affair partner, while wearing jewelry I bought and driving a BMW in my name. So I took it all back and introduced myself to him personally. I'm still processing what happened last night, but I need to get this out before I lose my nerve. Sorry in advance for the wall of text, but this is complicated. I've been with Alice for 2 years. She's gorgeous, charming, and I genuinely thought she was the one. I'm a software engineer at a mid-sized tech company, make decent money, around 120K, and I've been planning to propose. About 6 months ago, I bought Alice a 2019 BMW 340i. Not brand new, but still a 35K car. She'd been dropping hints about wanting something reliable and stylish for her marketing job, and honestly, I wanted to spoil her. I also put her on one of my credit cards, 15K limit, for emergencies and dates when I'm not around. Here's where it gets messy. 3 weeks ago, Harper, one of Alice's friends from college, reached out to me on Instagram. She said she needed to talk to me in person about something important regarding Alice. I figured it was about the proposal maybe Alice had guessed, so we met for coffee. Harper looked uncomfortable as hell. She started with, "I debated telling you this for months. Turns out, Alice has been seeing someone else. A guy named Cole who works at her marketing firm." Harper had seen them together multiple times, not just lunch meetings, but holding hands, kissing, the whole relationship package. She showed me photos she'd taken because she knew I wouldn't believe it otherwise. My stomach dropped, but here's the kicker. Harper said Alice had been telling Cole that I was just a temporary sugar daddy until she could upgrade to someone with real potential. Apparently, Cole doesn't know about the BMW or that we live together. Alice told him we broke up months ago and she was figuring out her living situation. I thanked Harper and asked her not to say anything yet. I needed time to process and figure out what to do. Fast forward to last night, our 2-year anniversary dinner at this upscale Italian place. I'd made reservations weeks ago before I knew about Cole. I decided to go through with it because I wanted to see if she'd come clean or at least show some guilt. She didn't. In fact, she was more affectionate than usual. I played along, ordered wine, made small talk about work. Then, halfway through the main course, I decided to test the waters. "Alice, do you think we're serious enough to start talking about marriage?" Her face changed instantly. Not happy, surprised, but almost panicked. She set down her fork and was quiet for a long moment. "Evan, you're such a sweet guy, but I don't think we're quite there yet." "What do you mean?" That's when she said it. "Honestly, I need to be with someone who's more established. Like, you're great for now, but I can't see myself settling down with someone who's just comfortable." I kept my voice steady. "Just comfortable. You know what I mean. You have a nice job, but you're not ambitious. You're not going anywhere. I need someone who's going to build something real, not just clock in and clock out." I nodded slowly, like I was considering her words. "So what are you saying?" "I think we should see where we are in a few years. Maybe you'll have grown by then. Here's the thing, I make more than she does. I own my condo outright, bought it at 24 with inheritance money. I have a solid 401K in savings. I'm not some loser, but apparently I'm not good enough for Princess Alice." I smiled and said, "That's really good to know. Thank you for being honest." We finished dinner mostly in silence. She kept trying to restart the conversation, probably realizing she'd been too harsh, but I just nodded along. When the check came, I paid with cash instead of the card she was expecting. She always wants to rack up points on our credit card. Here's where I need advice. I have a plan, but I want to make sure I'm not being crazy. 1, tomorrow morning, I'm taking back the BMW. It's in my name, I make the payments, I have both sets of keys. 2, I'm canceling her credit card immediately. 3, I'm boxing up all her stuff and leaving it in the hallway of my building with a note saying she has 24 hours to pick it up before it goes to Goodwill. 4, I already called a locksmith to change my locks tomorrow afternoon. 5, I'm blocking her on everything: phone, social media, email. 6, Monday, I'm calling my lawyer to make sure everything is legally sound. The proposal photographer is already paid for, so I'm thinking I'll use the session to take pictures returning her jewelry to her. Petty? Maybe. Satisfying? Definitely. Am I going overboard? Part of me wants to ghost her completely, but part of me wants her to know exactly why this is happening. She's about to lose her car, her credit card, and her free housing all in one day, and I want her to connect the dots. I keep thinking about her calling me, just comfortable, while wearing the $3K necklace I bought her for Christmas, sitting across from me at a restaurant I'm paying for, probably planning to drive home in the car I bought her to text Cole about what a loser her temporary sugar daddy is. Reddit, am I justified here, or should I pump the brakes? Edit. A lot of people asking about Harper's motivations. Honestly, I think she just has a conscience. She said she'd want someone to tell her if her boyfriend was cheating. I believe her. For those asking, Alice doesn't pay rent or utilities. She buys groceries sometimes and covers her own personal stuff, but I've been covering probably 80% of our shared expenses. Update 1. Well, I did it. And the aftermath has been a lot. Here's how it went down. Friday morning, yesterday. I woke up early and left for work before Alice got up. She had the day off, so I knew she'd be home all morning. Around 10 a.m., I called in a personal day and drove back to my building. I used my parking garage remote to get in, found the BMW in her usual spot, and simply drove it away. She had a set of keys, but I had the master set and all the paperwork. I drove straight to my dealer and had them do a full interior-exterior clean. Found some interesting things. Receipts from restaurants I'd never been to, a parking stub from a hotel downtown, and Cole's business card in the center console. While the car was being detailed, I went to the bank and canceled her credit card. The representative told me there was about $800 in recent charges, mostly restaurants and gas, but also a $200 charge at Victoria's Secret from 3 days ago. Guess who wasn't getting that lingerie? Next stop, locksmith. Had all my locks changed and got 3 new sets of keys. Friday afternoon, I went home and spent 2 hours boxing up everything that belonged to Alice. I was methodical about it. I even included the jewelry I'd given her, including that $3K necklace, in a separate box with a note. Since I'm just comfortable, I figure you'll want to upgrade these too. I called my building manager and got permission to leave the boxes in the lobby with a 24-hour pickup notice. I sent her a message. Alice, your belongings. You have until 6 p.m. Saturday to collect them or they go to donation. Do not contact me. Do not come to my apartment. You are no longer welcome here. Evan, around 6 p.m. Alice called. I let it go to voicemail. Then she called 10 more times. I blocked her number. She started texting from different numbers. The messages ranged from confused, Evan, what's going on? Where's my car? To angry, you can't just steal my car, you psycho. To manipulative, baby, whatever I did, we can work through this. I love you. Around 9 p.m. she showed up at my building. I could see her from my window standing next to her boxes talking on the phone. She tried buzzing my apartment for about an hour. I didn't answer. Eventually she called someone to pick her up. She left the boxes. Saturday morning today, I woke up to 17 missed calls from unknown numbers and a bunch of angry texts. The best one was, I called the police and reported my car stolen. They're going to arrest you. So I called the police myself, explained the situation, provided the registration and insurance paperwork all in my name, and asked if I needed to come in to clear anything up. The desk sergeant laughed and said unless she had legal ownership documents, she couldn't report it stolen. Around noon, Alice's boxes were still in the lobby, so I donated them as promised. Saturday afternoon, I was at home when my building security called me. Alice was downstairs with some guy, demanding to be let up to get her things. She probably saw my car wasn't in the parking lot and thought I wasn't home. Security told them about the pickup deadline and that her stuff was already donated. I went down to the lobby. That's when I saw Alice with Cole. She was telling him I was her crazy ex-roommate who had stolen her car and belongings. I walked up to them and introduced myself to Cole. Hey, you must be Cole. I'm Evan, Alice's boyfriend of 2 years. Cole looked at Alice, then back at me. Boyfriend? She said you were her ex-roommate. I pulled out my phone and showed him photos of Alice and me from our anniversary dinner 2 nights ago. We just celebrated our 2-year anniversary on Thursday. Cole's face went white. She said she broke up with you months ago. Alice started backpedaling fast. Evan, what are you doing? Cole, don't listen to him. He's obviously lying. I kept my voice calm. She's been living in my condo for 18 months, rent-free. I just kicked her out yesterday when I found out about you. Cole turned to Alice. Is this true? The security guard was watching this like it was Netflix. Alice was completely caught. She tried to grab Cole's arm, but he stepped back. Cole, let me explain. Explain what? That you've been lying to me for months, that you have a whole other boyfriend. That's when Cole stormed out. Alice ran after him, but not before turning back to scream at me. You just ruined everything. I hope you're happy. I told security to ban her from the building and went back upstairs. I scheduled that photographer session for Tuesday. I'm going to take some nice photos of myself and maybe use them for dating apps. Life's too short to waste on people who think you're just comfortable. My lawyer friend texted me this morning and said everything I did was legal since all the property was mine. He also said if she keeps harassing me, I can file for a restraining order. Honestly, I feel amazing. Yeah, it sucks that she was cheating and lying, but I'm free. No more walking on eggshells, no more wondering if I'm good enough, no more paying for someone who doesn't respect me. The BMW is currently parked in my garage, detailed and clean. Thinking about selling it and getting something I actually want instead of something chosen to impress a woman who was never impressed anyway. Thanks for all the support, Reddit. Sometimes you need internet strangers to confirm you're not crazy. Edit. Several people asking about Harper. I sent her a text thanking her for telling me the truth. She said she felt bad about the whole situation, but that I did what needed to be done. She also said Alice has been blowing up her phone all day asking if Harper set this up. Harper told her to lose her number. Cole reached out to me on LinkedIn of all places. He apologized for getting involved in my relationship and said he had no idea Alice was still with someone. Seems like a decent guy who got played as hard as I did. For everyone asking about the hotel receipt, yeah, I'm pretty sure I know what that was for. I got tested Friday afternoon just to be safe. Results pending, but I'm not worried. We always use protection, and frankly, if Alice gave me something, that would just be the final cherry on this shit cake. Update 2. Back with another update because this situation has taken some wild turns. Tuesday, I went ahead with that photographer session I mentioned. Originally booked to propose to Alice, but I repurposed it for some professional headshots and dating profile pics. The photographer was cool about it. Apparently, revenge photo shoots are becoming a thing. I brought all the jewelry I'd given Alice over the past 2 years. The photographer suggested we get some artistic shots of me literally putting my past behind me. We took some photos of me placing the jewelry in a donation box, others of me holding the pieces up to the light, and one really powerful shot of me dropping the engagement ring into a charity donation jar. The photographer said these were some of the most emotionally authentic photos he'd ever taken. We both posted a few on Instagram, him for his portfolio, me because I was feeling confident for the first time in months. Alice decided to go nuclear after she saw those posts. Wednesday, I woke up to a bunch of notifications. Alice had created a new Instagram account and posted a long story about how I was an abusive ex who had stolen her car and possessions and left her homeless and stranded. She painted herself as a domestic violence survivor who had finally escaped a controlling and manipulative relationship. Her post included photos of the boxes I'd left for her before she picked them up, screenshots of my threatening note, the 24-hour pickup notice, and even photos of my condo building with captions about how I'd trapped her in isolation. She tagged my company, several of my friends, and even my gym. The post was getting shared rapidly in local Facebook groups with titles like "Dangerous Man Alert" and "Abuser in My City," share to warn other women. My phone started blowing up. Friends, coworkers, even my boss were texting asking if I was okay and if the accusations were true. A few people who didn't know me well were definitely keeping their distance. I'll be honest, I panicked for about an hour. Then I got pissed. I called my lawyer friend and he said this was textbook defamation. We started documenting everything, screenshots of her posts, the false claims, evidence that her accusations were provably untrue. Then I remembered something crucial, Harper. I called Harper and explained what Alice was doing. Harper was disgusted. She's seriously claiming you were abusive. Evan, I've seen how she talks about you. She literally called you a puppy dog who would never hurt a fly. Harper still had screenshots of conversations where Alice bragged about how easy I was to manipulate and how I bent over backwards to make her happy. She also had texts where Alice explicitly said she was using me until she found someone better. Even better, Harper had video from a girls' night 3 months ago where Alice was showing off the BMW and bragging about how she'd trained me to buy her expensive things. In the video, Alice literally says, "Evan thinks we're going to get married, but I'm just here for the lifestyle upgrade." Friday, I decided it was time to tell my side of the story. I created a detailed post on my Instagram including screenshots of Alice's false accusations, photos of the BMW registration and insurance proving ownership, screenshots of the credit card account showing I was the primary holder, photos of my condo lease proving she was never on it, with all sensitive information censored, of course. Text messages from Harper, with her permission, showing Alice's real feelings about our relationship. I also included a statement. I'm being falsely accused of abuse by someone who cheated on me, lied to her affair partner, and is now trying to destroy my reputation to avoid accountability for her actions. I have evidence of everything I'm claiming and am prepared to defend myself legally. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Friends who had been hesitant to reach out were suddenly calling to apologize for doubting me. Coworkers were sharing my post and calling Alice's accusations obviously fake. Even people I barely knew were commenting with support. Saturday, Alice's plan completely backfired. Remember Cole, the guy she was cheating with? Turns out he has a lot of friends in common with Alice through their marketing firm. When he saw her abuse accusations, he was pissed. Cole made his own post explaining that Alice had lied to him about being single, that she'd been using me financially while dating him, and that her accusations against me were completely inconsistent with everything she told him about our relationship. He included screenshots of texts where Alice had described me as harmless and too nice for my own good. He also shared messages where she'd bragged about the BMW and expensive gifts, calling it easy money from a lonely guy. But the real bombshell was Cole revealing that Alice had asked him to help her get back at me by spreading stories about our relationship. When he refused, she apparently tried to get other coworkers involved in taking down my reputation. Cole's post was savage. I thought I was dating someone honest who'd been wronged by her ex. Instead, I was being used by someone who was still in a relationship and is now trying to destroy an innocent person's life out of spite. Alice's original post was getting ratioed hard. The comments were brutal. By Sunday evening, Alice had deleted all her social media accounts. According to Harper, she's also been mysteriously absent from work this week. My lawyer friend says we have an airtight defamation case if I want to pursue it. I'm still deciding. Part of me wants to let sleeping dogs lie now that everyone knows the truth. Part of me thinks she needs to face consequences for trying to destroy my life. The weird thing is, I feel bad for Cole. He seems like a decent guy who got manipulated as badly as I did. We grabbed coffee yesterday, and he's actually pretty cool. He's thinking about transferring to his company's Dallas office to get away from the drama. As for me, I'm doing great. The BMW sold for $32K, only lost $3K on it, and I used the money for a down payment on a Jeep Wrangler I've wanted for years. The engagement ring went to a charity auction and sold for $4K. All went to a domestic violence shelter, which felt appropriate given the circumstances. That photographer session turned out amazing. I've got dates lined up for the next 2 weeks, and I'm actually excited about dating again. Funny how good you feel about yourself when you're not constantly being told you're just comfortable. Edit, a lot of people asking if I'm going to pursue the defamation case. I'm still deciding. My lawyer says we could definitely win, but it would mean more months of dealing with Alice, and honestly, I'm ready to move on. The truth came out. My reputation is intact, and she's the one who looks like a liar and manipulator. Harper reached out to let me know Alice tried to blame her for setting me up and orchestrating the whole thing. Harper told her that she only told me the truth because she has a conscience, and that everything else was Alice's own doing. Harper also said she's blocking Alice permanently because she's tired of being around toxic people. Final update. I wasn't planning to post again, but I've gotten a lot of DMs asking for a final update on the Alice situation. It's been 6 months since everything went down, and I figured I'd share how everything turned out because this story actually has a really positive ending. First, the legal stuff. I decided not to pursue the defamation case. My lawyer friend said we had a slam dunk, but I realized I didn't want to spend more mental energy on Alice. Sometimes the best revenge is just moving on and being happy. Her reputation in our social circle and professional network was already destroyed, and that felt like enough. As for Alice, according to Harper, who I still talk to occasionally, Alice quit her job about a month after everything happened. The false abuse allegations had circulated at her marketing firm, and when Cole's evidence came out proving she'd lied, her professional reputation was shot. Harper said several coworkers had lost trust in her completely. Without the BMW, credit card, or free housing, she couldn't afford her lifestyle anymore. Harper heard she moved back in with her parents in Michigan, but I don't know if that's true, and honestly, I don't care. She lost Cole, she lost me, and she lost the respect of most people who knew the full story. I hope she learns from this and gets her life together, but it's not my problem anymore. This is actually the coolest part of the whole story. Cole and I stayed in touch, and he's become a genuine friend. We have a lot in common beyond being manipulated by the same woman. He didn't transfer to Dallas after all. Instead, he switched to a different marketing firm here in town. We grab beers occasionally, and he's actually dating one of my coworkers now with my endorsement. Sometimes good things come from bad situations. Remember those dating app photos I took? They worked out better than I imagined. I'm currently seeing someone amazing, let's call her Rachel. She's a nurse, has her own apartment, drives her own car, and pays for dinner half the time. The difference in how I feel respected and valued is night and day. Rachel knows the whole Alice story. I told her early on because I wanted to be transparent, and her reaction was perfect. So you found out someone was using you and you handled it like an adult. That's attractive. No drama, no judgment. Just appreciation for the fact that I stood up for myself. Selling the BMW and getting my financial independence back was incredible. I calculated that I'd spent about $15,000 on Alice over 2 years. That money is now going toward a house down payment and my retirement accounts. Funny how much you can save when you're not funding someone else's lifestyle. Ironically, all the drama with Alice's false accusations led to some positive attention at work. I started networking more and building professional relationships instead of spending all my free time catering to Alice's needs. I'm genuinely happy. I live in my condo with just my stuff, decorated how I want it. I drive a Jeep I love instead of a car chosen to impress others. I'm dating someone who adds value to my life instead of draining it. I have more money in my accounts than I've ever had. I sleep better, stress less, and wake up looking forward to my day. To everyone who supported me through this, thank you. The Reddit community helped me see that I wasn't crazy, that my feelings were valid, and that I deserved better. Life's too short to waste on people who don't see your value. Find someone who does.
"You're not my real dad," my stepson spat when he was drunk. I walked away from the family I built. The next day, my phone exploded with texts and calls. "My name is Jack. 5 years ago, I met Sarah, a widow with 2 beautiful children. Noah was 6 and Lily was 4. Their eyes still carried the shadows of loss, but their smiles, when they happened, could light up the darkest corners of the world. I remember how terrified I was at first. What did I know about raising children, especially children carrying grief I couldn't fully comprehend? Every night I'd lie awake wondering if I was doing more harm than good. I remember the first time Noah called me Dad. We were at the park, a casual Sunday afternoon. He fell off the monkey bars, scraped his knee. I rushed over, heart pounding. "I'm okay, Dad," he said through tears. "Dad, my heart, it stopped." I looked at Sarah. She was crying too. Silent tears of something bittersweet, grief and hope tangled together like roots beneath the surface. That night I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, wondering if I could ever live up to that title. I tried. God, I tried. I moved into Sarah's small apartment 3 months later. Took a second job to help with the bills. Started a college fund for the kids. Attended every parent-teacher conference. Learned to braid Lily's hair when Sarah worked late shifts at the hospital. We became a family, not perfect, but real. 2 years in, I proposed to Sarah. We married in a small ceremony by the lake. Noah was my best man. Lily scattered flower petals and twirled in her dress until she collapsed in giggles. That day, I legally adopted them both. New birth certificates, new last names, my children, my family. But something changed as they grew older. It started small. Eye rolls when I asked about homework, sighs when I suggested family movie night. Noah's whatever became his standard response to anything I said. I told myself it was normal. Teenagers push boundaries, test limits. I'd been the same at their age, but it wasn't normal. Not the way Noah would look through me like I was invisible. Not the way Lily would mumble under her breath when I asked her to help with chores. Not the way Sarah would undermine my parenting with a casual, "Oh, let them be." "They need structure," I'd tell her at night after the kids were asleep. "They need to be kids," she'd counter. "You're too strict." Too strict. Because I asked Noah to maintain a B average, because I expected Lily to be home by 11 on weekends, because I wanted them to help with dishes and respect our home. The real breaking point came on Noah's 16th birthday. I'd saved for months to buy him a used car. Nothing fancy, a 2010 Honda with decent mileage and new tires. Safe. Reliable. When he saw it, he frowned. "This is it?" he asked, looking at Sarah. "Mom, you said—" "I know, honey," she cut in, throwing me an apologetic glance. Jack thought this would be more practical than what, I wondered, but I didn't ask, not then. 2 weeks later, I found out. Sarah had promised him a newer, sportier model, one we couldn't afford. She'd been setting me up to be disappointed. That night Noah came home past curfew. His eyes were red. His breath smelled like beer. "Where were you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice level. "It's almost 2 in the morning." "Out," he pushed past me. "That's not an answer, Noah. We were worried." "We," he laughed. "You mean Mom's asleep. I'm your father, and you're breaking the rules we all agreed on." He turned then, his face hardened into something I didn't recognize. "You're not my real dad," he spat. "Stop acting like you own me." My chest tightened. Each word hit like a physical blow. "Noah," Sarah appeared on the stairs, her voice sharp but not at him. At me. "What's going on?" "Jack's on some power trip again," he said, heading toward the stairs. "We'll talk about this in the morning," she told him softly. Then, to me, "Did you have to confront him now? He's tired." "He's drunk," I said, "and it's 2 in the morning. He's a teenager. He's my son." She looked at me then, really looked at me. "Is he?" 3 words. That's all it took to shatter the foundation I thought we'd built. The next morning, over coffee, while the kids were still asleep, I asked her what she meant. Her answer broke something inside me that I'm still trying to fix. "I'm grateful for all you've done, Jack, really, but they had a father. You're more like a stepdad, a guardian. I think sometimes you forget that." A guardian, 5 years of love, sacrifice, and devotion reduced to a legal term. "Do the kids feel this way too?" I asked, my voice hollow. She hesitated. "I've always encouraged them to honor Robert's memory, to understand that while you're here for them now, you shouldn't try to replace him." "Encouraged them," I repeated. "Or reminded them." She didn't answer. She didn't need to. That afternoon, I checked our joint account. Over the past year, Sarah had withdrawn nearly $8,000 in small amounts. Money earmarked for property taxes and home repairs. Money I'd worked overtime to provide. When confronted, she shrugged. The kids needed things. What things? Things you would have said no to. Like a sports car for a 16-year-old. Like the designer clothes hanging in Lily's closet. Like the new gaming system in Noah's room that I didn't remember buying. I'd been played. Set up as the bad guy while Sarah played the hero with my money. That night, Lily came home 2 hours late from a study session. When I questioned her, she rolled her eyes. "You're just some guy Mom married," she said, not even looking up from her phone. "Stop trying to control everyone." I looked at Sarah, waiting for her to correct our daughter, to defend me, to acknowledge the years I'd spent helping with homework, attending dance recitals, holding her hair when she had the flu. Instead, she said, "Lily, go to your room. Jack and I need to talk." When we were alone, I asked the only question that mattered. "Is that how you see me too? Just some guy you married?" "Of course not," she said, but her eyes didn't meet mine. "But you have to understand they're at a difficult age. They're figuring out who they are. By disrespecting me, by erasing everything I've done for this family, you chose to do those things," she said quietly. "Nobody forced you. Nobody forced me, as if love were a transaction, as if family were a business arrangement." That night, I slept in the guest room. I stared at the ceiling fan spinning lazily above me, wondering how many nights I'd spent in this house worrying about everyone else's needs while neglecting my own. My chest felt hollow, empty. The realization that I'd built my entire identity around a role no one actually wanted me to fill was suffocating. I reached for my phone at 3 a.m., scrolling through old family photos. Noah's fishing trip where he caught his first bass. Lily's dance recital where she froze on stage until she saw me giving her a thumbs up. Christmas mornings, beach vacations, evidence of a life I thought we were building together. Was it all an illusion? Had I manufactured a family that never truly existed? The next morning, bleary-eyed and heavy-hearted, I called my bank and opened a separate account. I transferred my next paycheck there instead of our joint account. I stopped picking up extra shifts that had been killing my back and keeping me from sleeping. Started saying no when Sarah mentioned expenses we couldn't afford. The change was immediate and telling, so painfully telling. Sarah's smile disappeared. Noah's attitude got worse. Lily started asking for money directly, and when I refused, she went to her mother, who suddenly couldn't provide it either. 2 weeks in, Sarah confronted me in the kitchen. "What are you doing?" she demanded. "The power bill is due tomorrow." "So pay it," I said, continuing to make my lunch for work. "With what? You know I only work part-time." "Figure it out," I replied, echoing words she'd said to me countless times when I'd expressed concerns about our spending. "I paid the mortgage and my half of the groceries. The rest is on you." Her face flushed. "This isn't fair to the kids. Neither is teaching them that I'm nothing but an ATM with no right to parent them." The bills piled up. The luxuries disappeared. Noah couldn't drive his car because there was no money for gas. Lily's phone broke and no one could replace it. The reality of their entitlement came crashing down, and instead of banding together, they turned on each other. I heard them fighting one night. Noah blamed Lily for spending too much on clothes. Lily accused Noah of wasting money on his friends. Sarah tried to mediate but sounded exhausted and scared. The next morning, Sarah approached me differently. Softer. She touched my arm as I made coffee. Her floral perfume, the one I'd given her for our anniversary, wrapped around me, triggering memories I was desperately trying to compartmentalize. "I know you're upset," she said, "but we need to work this out for the family." I flinched at the word family. The coffee sloshed over the rim of my mug, burning my fingers. I didn't wipe it away. The pain felt clarifying. "What family?" I asked. "According to you and the kids, I'm just some guy you married, a guardian, a paycheck." "That's not fair." Her voice hardened, the softness evaporating like morning dew. "Isn't it? Let me ask you something, Sarah. If I lost my job tomorrow and couldn't provide any more, would you still want me here?" Her hesitation was my answer, but she wasn't done. "You're being childish," she said, crossing her arms. "Of course we value you beyond money, but your attitude lately, this passive-aggressive punishment, it's proving you're not who I thought you were." My laugh came out bitter and sharp. That's rich. I'm not who you thought I was. What about who I thought you were? What about the family I thought we were building? We are a family, her voice rose. But you're trying to replace Robert. You've always tried to erase him to make the kids forget. I've never once asked them to forget their father, I cut in, my voice dangerously quiet. I've kept his pictures on the walls. I've driven them to his grave on his birthday every year. I've asked them to tell me stories about him so they wouldn't forget. Then, why do you get so hurt when they don't treat you like their real dad? Because I am their real dad. Not their biological father, no, but being a father is about more than DNA. It's about showing up. It's about sacrifice. It's about love. And I have loved them, loved all of you with everything I have. Sarah's face flushed. If you loved us, you wouldn't be withholding money to punish us. And there it was, the truth laid bare between us. If you loved me, I countered, you wouldn't reduce 5 years of my life to a dollar sign. We stared at each other across the kitchen island, strangers sharing coffee. That weekend, I found an apartment. Small, 1-bedroom, nothing special. The leasing agent's pitying look when I listed 1 occupant on the application form made my stomach turn. I'd become a walking cliché, middle-aged man starting over, downsizing his life to fit into a space meant for one. Back home, no, at the house, I wandered from room to room while they were at Sarah's mother's, touching doorframes where we'd marked the kids' heights each birthday, running my fingers over the dining table where we'd shared thousands of meals, standing in Noah's doorway, remembering nights spent assembling Lego sets long past bedtime. Lily's room smelled like strawberry shampoo and the vanilla candles she'd become obsessed with. Sarah had called them a fire hazard. I'd bought her a proper candle warmer to keep her safe while letting her express herself. It sat on her dresser, unused. A small rebellion against the man who wasn't really her father. In our bedroom, Sarah's bedroom now, I sat on the edge of the bed we'd shared. My throat constricted as I remembered lazy Sunday mornings with small bodies jumping between us, demanding pancakes. The nightmares I'd soothed. The Christmas mornings. The life I thought we were building. Had any of it been real? I packed methodically, my movements mechanical. Clothes, toiletries, a few books, my father's watch. I left the furniture, they would need it more than me. Leaving the family photos, taking them felt like stealing moments that perhaps had never truly belonged to me. I left my keys on the counter with a note explaining that I'd continue to pay the mortgage for 3 months, enough time for her to figure out next steps. My hand shook as I signed my name. Just my name. Not Love, Jack, or any of the dozen pet names we'd used over the years. The finality of it hollowed me out. I outlined what I would and wouldn't pay for moving forward. Child support, yes, I'd adopted them legally, and regardless of their feelings, I took that responsibility seriously. But no more blank checks. No more being the bad guy while Sarah played the hero with my money. My phone exploded with texts and calls when they returned home. I didn't answer. Not that day or the next. When I finally did, it was to speak with a mediator about separation terms. Sarah was furious, accused me of abandonment, said the kids were devastated. They need you, she said, her voice breaking. We need you. No, I replied. You need what I provide. There's a difference. That was 2 months ago. Since then, Noah has texted twice. Once to ask for money for car insurance, I refused. Once to ask if he could come over, I said not yet. Lily called crying last week, saying she missed me. I told her I missed her too, but needed time. Sarah alternates between anger and pleading. She suggested counseling promised changes. But I've seen who she is now, who they all are. The hardest lesson I've learned is this. Sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes respect matters more. Sometimes walking away is the only path to self-preservation. I still send child support. Still check the school portal to monitor their grades. Still have Noah and Lily's pictures on my bedside table. But I've stopped begging for love from people who see me as a resource rather than a father. Stopped letting myself be the villain in someone else's narrative. Stopped accepting scraps of affection in exchange for everything I had to give. Today I received divorce papers from Sarah's lawyer. Creative accounting, making it seem like I've left them destitute. Asking for alimony on top of child support. painting me as controlling because I stopped funding a lifestyle we couldn't afford. I hired my own lawyer, not out of spite but self-respect. Maybe someday Noah and Lily will understand. Maybe they'll realize that love shouldn't be conditional. That respect goes both ways. That family isn't just sharing DNA or a last name. It's showing up, being present, treating each other with dignity. Or maybe they won't. Maybe I'll always be the bad guy who walked away. Either way, I've found a strange peace in this empty apartment with half-unpacked boxes. I'm building something new here, something honest. A life where I'm not just some guy someone married. A life where love and respect aren't competing forces. A life where I finally understand that sometimes walking away isn't giving up, it's refusing to be invisible in your own family. If I had known then what I know now, I would have established boundaries from the beginning. I would have insisted on being a partner, not just a provider. I would have required respect as a non-negotiable condition of my presence. But I didn't know, so I gave everything, expected nothing, and ended up with less than I started with. Now I'm starting over at 42. It's terrifying, it's liberating, it's necessary. My phone lights up. Another text from Noah. Can we talk for real this time? I stare at the message for a long time. My thumb hovers over the screen. The old Jack would have jumped at this olive branch, would have rushed to repair bridges regardless of who burned them. The new Jack, the one still finding his footing, knows better. Whatever I decide, it will be on my terms this time, with eyes wide open and boundaries firmly in place. That's the thing about walking away. Sometimes it's the only way to find out who will care enough to follow, and who was just along for the ride. The hardest lesson wasn't learning to leave. It was understanding that sometimes love requires us to stand firm rather than bend until we break. That self-respect isn't selfish, it's necessary. That you cannot pour from an empty cup, and my cup had been running on fumes for years. I've learned that family isn't just about who you're related to, by blood or by law. It's about reciprocity, mutual respect, genuine appreciation for each other's place in the shared story you're writing together. Most importantly, I've learned that teaching others how to treat you sometimes means walking away when the lesson isn't getting through. Not as punishment, but as protection for yourself and, ironically, for them. Because what kind of example was I setting by accepting disrespect? What was I teaching Noah and Lily about relationships by allowing myself to be devalued? True love, whether for a partner, a child, or yourself, sometimes means making the hardest choice of all, to release what isn't working to create space for what might. I type my response to Noah, yes, Saturday, noon, the cafe near the park. Then I set my phone down and continue unpacking my new life, one box at a time.